What's up guys, Michael here today with an After Effects tutorial for you. Well, it's a little bit in Illustrator, mainly in After Effects, just we're using Illustrator at the beginning to kind of maximize our efficiency here. So, by the end of this video, you are going to know how to do this. Pretty dope, huh? So the reason I'm making this is because I was trying to figure out how to make that neon sign effect, and I was going through all kinds of tutorials on YouTube, and they're all from like 2011, 2013, none of them really work anymore. By the time I found one that was kind of close, I had to do so much research on different effects that don't even exist anymore and what replaced them. It just took me ages, took me hours to figure out how to do something that I can teach you to do in 15, 20 minutes. So let's hop into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is open up Adobe Illustrator, go over here and create a new document. Now we're going to want this document to be full HD, so that means 1920 pixels wide, 1080 high. I've already got mine set up, that's the last thing I was doing. We can just call this sign layers. That's perfect. Hit create. So for our sign design today, I want to do something with some Japanese lettering. So in honor of my buddy Solomon and his clothing brand, Proximity, this is one of their hats if you want to buy one, or some other clothes. The link is in the description. But in honor of them, we are going to use their name as our Japanese lettering today. I almost said Chinese, whoops. So we're going over to our buddy Google Translate. Never let us down before, has it? Proximity, Kinsetsu, we're going to go over here. Command C, come into Illustrator, give us a big old text box, Command V. Alright, we are going to up this point value to 350. That's a good size. Make that, center that. Let's see. Make it fit. That should be good. Important, when you're designing your sign, you can make it whatever you want, you don't have to do this. You want to make sure though you only use stroke. Stroke just looks much better. Neon, I mean, when you see a neon sign that's all filled up in the middle? No, never. So we're gonna bump the stroke up to 4 point. I think that's pretty good. Anything other than that, it starts bleeding over itself. It's too much, so we'll do that. Next up, we're gonna go to type, and we're going to click create outlines of this. That way we can individually affect all of these things, and they're not text really anymore. Now it's a vector graphic. Next thing we're going to do is create a new layer. Oops, sorry, wrong button. Create a new layer. In layer 2, we're going to select it. We are going to use our rounded rectangle option. Put one around this bad boy like so. Leave it at 4 point as well. And then we will align that kind of in the center like this. Perfect. Let me see if I can get that one. That's perfectly aligned either. There we go. Next thing we're going to go over is making our letters actually resemble neon sign. So if you notice, if you ever look at a neon sign, it's got little breaks, it's all just one big wire. So we're going to go over to our scissors tool, or you can just hit C. Next thing we're going to do, I like to clip them on the corner, like a random edge or corner. Bring it down here, clip that, then you can use your direct selection tool, collect that, and get rid of it like that. That's something we're going to add to all of these things, just to kind of give them a more realistic effect. Before we do that though, actually, I'm going to select the entire layer, go over to stroke, and make sure we change our corners from these sharp corners to these rounded corners. Neon signs, just they're rounded, they don't have any right angles like that. And we're going to make our caps round caps as well, just in an effort to make it look a little more realistic, kind of get that bend to it. So next, just take your scissors tool, however you like, just go around each one of your pieces and clip them up real quick. Get these little ones right here too. These are actually a little too big. Before we do that, I'm going to use the direct selection tool on these. Grab all 4 points on here, then switch to the regular selection tool. You kind of have to, since it's all grouped together, you kind of have to do it a little weird. Then you'll shrink this down, about like that. Bring it up, bring it back over, and then we'll do the same thing over here. Alright, so here we have our neon sign outlines. We're going to save this as an Illustrator file. We want to do it, let's see, yeah, Illustrator. We're going to put it in my drive here, just like that. Alright, perfect. Alright, so here we go. We're going to do a new project, new composition. We're going to call this Neon AI for animation, just because I'm lazy. Once again, we're going to make this full HD, so 1920 by 1080 frames, 30 per second is great. Do it 10 seconds. Awesome. Background color. Everything we want. And double click down here. Now we're going over to our neon project. Clicking on our sign layers Illustrator file. We want to make sure we don't import it as footage. We want to do it as a composition, and we want to retain the layer sizes. That's key here. Composition, retain layer sizes, open. Another way you could do it is you can go in here, file, import, file, then bring it up. Boom, here you are. So next up on our list is the background. Yep, here we go. Brick wallpaper. It's just a random brick wall picture I found on the internet. So here we are. We'll go to our neon animation thing, and we'll bring our brick wall layer in. Let's give ourselves a little more room to play down here. Alright. First thing you want to do before you even get too far into this is go to your window tab up here and make sure that your effects and presets are loaded up here on the right. You're gonna need those, you're gonna want them in your life. Our brick wall is way too bright. We want to make it look like it is nighttime and the neon sign is glowing on it. So the first thing we're gonna do is come over here. We're going to add curves. Oops, I can't spell curves. To our brick wall right here. Let's give ourselves a little more room. There we go, perfect. We're gonna grab this and we're gonna bring it down like that. Kind of looks gross, I know, but we're coming next. Next, we want to add a tint effect. Take that and bring it over on here as well. We want to take our map white and turn it down to dark gray color, kind of like this. Well, more like that. I think bring our curves down a little bit more like that. Yeah. Well, amount to tint, probably take that down a little bit. There we go. Put that around 90%. It's kind of we still have a little bit of that red effect down there. Make it real dark like that. Yeah, 90% is good. All right. Next thing we're going to do is do a new layer. It's going to be a solid. We want it to be black. Okay, great. I'm going to go over to our tools here. We want to select the ellipse tool. We're going to double click on it. It's going to make a perfect ellipse over our comp. We want to go to the mask down here at the bottom, and instead of add, we want to do subtract. Then click F on your keyboard and turn that feather way up. Like this. This kind of make our vignette effect on the wall. I like to do it around 700 probably. Yeah, we can do that. 700, okay. Beautiful. Let's see if we get rid of that. Looks good. Alright, so now take your solid layer, your wallpaper layer. We are going to pre-compose this and call it BKG, or background. Okay, great. So now we've got our background. That was part 2. Part 3, we're going to be bringing our sign layers right here in. We've got layer 1 right here. Oops, we need to bring it above the background. That's your text. And we've got layer 2, which is our sign. So I know you can't really tell what they look like. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab a fill effect. Put that on top of our sign layers 1. It's red. You can make it whatever you like. I want to do more of a, like, yeah, make that red a little more pink, like this. Okay, great. And then this one, we'll add another fill, and I think I want to do it blue. Make it kind of like more in that range. Yeah, that looks good. Well, maybe a little bit like that. Okay, great. Grab both of these with Shift, hit S for scale, bring them up. That's probably good like that. Okay. So now we've got our sign layers. We're going to grab them and, whoops. We're going to pre-compose this. We're going to call it sign. Okay. Then we're going to go over here to edit and duplicate. Then this one is going to be called, I'm going to rename it to sign off. And this one is, oops, neon animation, rename sign on, caps lock. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is turn off the sign on one. We're going to add a fill effect to the sign off pre-composition. We are going to change it from this red to this gray color down here. This is what our sign is going to be looking like when it's turned off, of course. Next thing you want to do is right click on it and in layer styles bring on bevel and emboss. That's going to add a little more depth to it. Let's see, you come over here, bevel and emboss, turn the highlight opacity down a little bit. It is kind of turned off. Turn those shadows way up though. So there we go. That looks good. Then come on here, do it again. We're gonna do a drop shadow like that, just to give it a little more depth. Can't have too much depth, never. So boom, there we go. We have our sign when it's turned off. And so now let's go sign on. We want to, first of all, duplicate this one once more. Here for sign on, we're going to add a Gaussian blur to it. Oh, here we go. That's right. So we're going to add that to the sign on effect and turn that blurriness way up. Way more than that. Kind of see we're getting that glow effect right there. That looks nice. Put it around 100, I guess. Next, we're going to literally type in glow effect and put that on our sign on at the bottom. Now we're going to sign on 2. We are going to add an inner glow to this one. Whoops, I'm sorry. It's a layer effect, or layer styles, my bad. Inner glow. That looks nice. Blending options, inner glow. We want the source to be the center, not the edge. Looks better that way. And let's see, we'll turn the range down about 40. There we go, that looks good. Then we just want to duplicate sign on 2. Whoops, duplicate it. Sign on 3, we're going to actually take the inner glow effect off. And we are going to give it a bevel and emboss layer style. All of this is just to give it some more depth, make it look more realistic. On our bevel and emboss, on our top sign, we're going to turn our highlights all the way down actually. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. About 10%, and we're going to turn our shadows down about that too. 20. So here we go. Now we've got a nice looking neon sign. We are going to grab all of these sign on layers, pre-compose them into a layer called on. Alright, so now we've got our sign on finished. We got it like that. Next we got our sign off. Off, on. Looks great. Next thing we're going to do is add some extra secondary lights behind the sign to kind of give it a more realistic effect. So go to new layer, add a solid layer. We're going to call it lights. Okay, we're going to bring that underneath the sign on. I'm going to add this 4-color gradient over onto it. I know it looks terrible right now, but it'll make it look way better in a minute. So for one of the colors, I'm going to grab this red, and then for the rest, I'm going to grab that blue on the back of it, and then grab that. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna put this red right in the middle of the sign, and then we're gonna use the blue on the outside to kind of choke it. Oh, whoops. Choke it out like that. Make sure the blend, I like to turn it down to about 80. Add a little bit of jitter in there, about 10% jitter. Okay, next thing we're gonna do is mask this out. That way it's not covering the entire screen like this. Go over to Tools, grab your pen tool, and kind of just draw like a rough shape around this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Boom, like that. There we go. Next we're gonna hit F on our keyboard and turn our feather up to about 500%. Okay, so that looks nice. Next thing we're gonna go over to do is this layer mode right here. We're gonna change it to vivid light, like that. Nice, that looks good. Let's mess with that feather a little bit more, kind of turn it up some. And then, I don't know, hit T on your keyboard, turn that opacity down just a little bit. Okay, that looks, oh, whoops. That looks awesome. Okay, so now we've got our lights. We can turn them on or off, kind of give it a little more effect. We've got our sign on or off. See, that's a real subtle light effect. I like it, but it adds a lot, I think. And then we've got our on and off sign. So next, let's see, we want to pre-compose. Oh no, we'll leave it like this. We want to grab our lights and our on. We'll do 1 second in. 1 second in is where we want to bring these right up to where they start. We'll leave it like that. So then we want to go click on both of these. We're going to hit T for opacity. At 1 second and 10 frames, we're going to keyframe the opacity to 0 for this one. Then at about 5 frames later, we're going to have it come back on. So this one is going to be at 100%. And we're going to just only select this one and put it at 50. And then we'll go back to at 0.5 and we'll turn this back to 100. I'll put it at 100. Why don't you go to 100? There we go. And then put this one at 50 like before, and that'll give us a nice little blink effect. Turn on, boom, do a little quick little blink, then take all of your keyframes, grab them like this, right click it, keyframe assistant. We're gonna do an easy ease just like that. Perfect. And let's see what our first couple seconds look like. Boom. Oh, come on. There we go. Nice little flicker. Alright, we're gonna come in here like this. I'm just gonna grab these, copy and paste it right there, and paste it right here. Oops, what did I do? There we go. Alright, so now we're gonna kind of fine tune this flickering effect. I'm gonna go over to our on composition down here. Going to select all 3 of these sign on ones. Hit T to open up the opacity, Shift and click on Option and click on your stopwatch here. Got transform opacity. We're gonna add a wiggle command to the opacity. Wiggle, open parentheses, 60, 20, oops, close parentheses. We're gonna do that on all of these. Bam. All right. Now we go back to our neon animation, and it might not render right now, let's see. You can kind of tell there's just a slight faint, kind of like pulsing, even when it's just on. So now we've got that, it looks great. Next thing we're gonna do is add our rain effect. Adding the rain effect is actually super easy. There's a preset built in to After Effects that looks great. You just kind of have to fine tune it just a little bit. Grab all of your layers, right click, pre-compose. We are gonna call this, we'll just call it sign done. Okay, that's that. All right, now we've got our composition out. Next thing we're gonna do is go to our effects and presets. We're gonna type in CC rainfall add that to our composition. Bam, here we go. Got some nice rain. Let's see how that renders like this. You see that? It looks good. It's a little choppy right now, but we want to change that just a little bit to add a little more depth to it. So in my opinion, you can't really see the rain too much, so I want to turn the opacity of those drops up to 100% just while we're affecting it, changing how we want the rain to look. Then we can bring it back down to what we want. As far as wind, I like to go negative, I think, kind of have it, oh sorry, wind, make it come from the right side down a little bit, give it a little angle. I think this is too much rain. You can go over here to drops. I like to drop it down, maybe 1600, 1800 actually, not looking too bad. I want to turn the speed down, way down to about 1600 like this. So let's see, here's what we got so far. We got some nice little rain, sign comes on, it's got our little flicker effect. Looks good. So that's the end of part 4. Next up, part 5, adding the camera roll into it. So first thing we're gonna do is go to Layer, New, Camera. You got all these different things you can mess with on the camera. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of things you can do on here. We're not gonna fool with any of these. We're just gonna click OK. Camera's gonna affect 2D layers, we get it. Okay, great. Next thing we're going to do, since it's right, we do need to be in 3D, is we're going to turn our sign done layer into a 3D layer, just like that. Give After Effects a second to kind of process everything. Next we're going to go from down here on our views, we're going to go to 2 views horizontal. So now we can see our sign over here. This is our active camera. And then this, we're kind of looking down from above at what the camera's seeing. So if we grab, like, say, the Z axis, we can pull the camera in. Oh, leave it there. It'll render in a second. See, look, I went way out. So there we go. What we want to do is kind of get that slow roll effect. The camera kind of comes in like this and tilts up. Looks nice. So we're going to come over to the beginning. We're going to take our camera, transform our position. We are going to keyframe that, keyframe point of interest, keyframe every single thing, just because, just whatever you want to change. I mean, I try not to mess with too many of these, just because it takes forever to render, but just whatever you want. You're going to bring it over. I like to do it at 6 seconds like this. Let that load in, and then we're going to just pick a new spot for the camera to be. So I'm going to take the position, I'm going to take this right here, we're going to bring it up some. Come on, there we go. Alright. That is it. Once you get that done, set up like that, with your keyframes, go over to your render queue, project, bring your neon ANI composition over into the render queue, like that, save it however you want, and be on your way. And boom, if you followed along step by step, you should be seeing something just like this right about now. Alright, that's it for this tutorial video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below any other tutorials you might want to see. I'm going to start trying to make one of these about every 2 weeks or so. Got any constructive criticism for this video? If I was too fast, if I was too slow, I mean, whatever you want. Tell me down below. I want to hear your input. Also, if you do anything with this, give me a link. I want to see what you guys are making with these tutorials. Don't forget to head over to proximityglobal.com. I've got a link down in the description. Grab yourself some new merch. I don't really know how you end these type of videos, so